right, microphones are on and you're live. So Mallory, whenever you want to get started.
Okay, and this is my first time leading, so I just started call to order, correct?
I think so.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, call to order.
Okay. Chair Fenrich.
Here.
Vice Chair Stewart is, well, she's trying to log in, so she's here. Commissioner Dynan.
Here.
Commissioner Link.
Here.
Commissioner Basso.
Here.
And Commissioner Rubin. Rubin, I know you were there earlier.
It looks like he's muted.
Okay. So, all right, I know he's here, so.
1 second, sorry.
You could try to unmute him, Gabriel.
Yeah, let me see. Okay, there you are. Sorry.
Okay, Commissioner Rubin, you're here?
Present. Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, go ahead.
Okay, any planning commission member or staff who has a direct conflict of interest on any scheduled agenda item to be considered is to declare their conflict at this time. Sounds like none. Okay, public comments. At this time, members of the public may comment on any item not appearing on the agenda and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission Board. Individual comments will be limited to a maximum of 5 minutes per person, and each person may speak once during this time. Time cannot be yielded to another person. Under state law, matters presented during the public comment period cannot be discussed or acted upon. For record purposes, state your name and city of residence. Please make your comments directly to the Planning Commission Board. And I'm guessing no public comments. Okay, then we'll move on to the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are to be acted upon by a single action of the Planning Commission Board, unless otherwise requested by an individual Planning Commission member or member of the public for special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted upon by motion of the Planning Commission Board. All right, item 2.1 of the consent calendar, posting of the agenda. The agenda for the May 19th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting was posted on the City Community Center Bulletin Board, City Hall North and South Bulletin Boards, the Post Office, the City website, and emailed to the library on May 14th, 2020. In addition, we had posted the public notice along with the staff report and documents for item 3.1 on the City website on May 6, 2020 for the public to have additional time to review and comment due to the current conditions. And item 2.2, approval of the May 19th, 2020 agenda. This provides an opportunity for the Planning Commission or staff to recommend that an item be placed on the agenda for discussion or to adjust the proposed agenda to allow an item to be taken out of order. So do we have a recommendation?
This is Dinah, and I move we approve the consent calendar.
And I'll second that. Commissioner Link.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And a roll call vote for that. We're going to have Chair Fenrich.
Yes.
Vice Chair Stewart. Is she on there yet? Okay.
Yes.
I don't. Okay, and Commissioner Link.
Yes.
Commissioner Dynan.
Yes.
Commissioner Basso.
Yes.
Commissioner Rubin.
Yes.
That passes 5-0 or 6-0. Okay. All right.
For some reason, I'm unable to move Joan to the panel list, maybe because it's just a phone call.
All right.
You could just tell me if you could hear us. Sorry.
Are we ready to move on to Planning Commission public hearings?
Yes.
Okay, item 3.1, project description is development agreement number 03-2020 and conditional use permit 02-2020 / department file number 20-0009 Canna Mart. The project consists of a development agreement and a conditional use permit for a commercial cannabis dispensary with retail delivery to be located at Patterson Road, APN 075-009-053. The project site consists of the future construction of a 5,100 square foot building on an existing vacant lot, approximately 13,700 square feet in size. The project has a general plan designation of community commercial or CC and is zoned general commercial or C2. Site plan review will be required for the new building, and staff has recently conducted a pre-application review on it. The proposed project will not have a significant effect on the environment and is categorically exempt under Article 19, Section 15332, A through E, Class 32, infill development projects pursuant to CEQA guidelines.
Wait, bear with me a moment, sorry. Sorry, some technical difficulties. I'm trying to share the PowerPoint. Here we go. Sorry about that. Okay. Can everyone see the PowerPoint now?
Yep.
Thank you, Chairperson
Yes.
Feinrich. Yes, this is an application, development agreement and conditional use permit for a commercial cannabis dispensary to be located at 2667 Patterson Road. Okay. The project site consists of the future construction of an approximately 5,100 square foot building on a current vacant lot of 13,739 square feet. Okay. At the moment, the project does not require architecture and site plan review, but it will be necessary in the future for a new building, along with future landscape and irrigation plans for review and approval. This is an aerial of the site. It's situated on the north side of Patterson Road between Jackson Avenue and Callender. This is a site plan of the property. As you can see, entrance is on Patterson Road. There's about 15 parking spaces on 15 employees on the property. And they plan to open from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily, employing approximately 15 employees. And for the record, this is just a conceptual plan, just to give you an idea of what the applicant plans to do in the future. This is an example or a template for their floor plan. As you can see, the entrance, there's a lobby area, there's a merchandise area, pretty open space for customers and clients to come in. In the back, they'll have storage space, big break room, restroom, distribution for them to do their logistics, things of that sort in the back. There will also be a second floor, which will hold 2 offices. The development agreement has been worked on involving city attorney, city manager, and city staff. It was completed similar to the format done for the flavors development agreement. The project will provide Canna Mart with, for the project, Canna Mart will provide substantial private benefits that will benefit city infrastructure services and neighborhoods. The term of the development agreement is for 3 years. The primary use of the business is retail for medicinal and adult use cannabis, and they will also include retail delivery. As I mentioned, the public benefits will be used for infrastructure services, neighborhood burdens. Once the building is constructed and completed, the terms are for the first 6 months. The public benefits that we provided are $10,000 or $5,000 of gross receipts, depending on which is greater. Following the first 6 months, from the 7 to 12th month to a year, it'll be $15,000 or 5% of the gross receipts, depending on what's greater. And then following the year, the first year to the end of the term, that will be increased to $20,000 or 5% of the gross receipts, depending on what is greater. Okay. Development agreement findings are that it is consistent with the general plan. It is not detrimental to the health, safety, general welfare of the city. It will not affect orderly development or property values. It is consistent with Government Code 65864 and 65869.5. And it contains legal description of the property. A conditional use permit is necessary for the construction and for the use of this property. For this use, it delineates the hours of construction, exterior lighting conditions, a hold harmless agreement, no loitering on the property. There will be a security guard that will be required to be on site. The proposed application for the development agreement and conditional use permit is consistent with the general plan. The regulation of cannabis activity should be consistent with the following guiding principle of the city's general plan. Our city should be safe and healthy for all our residents. The proposed project will not have a significant effect on the environment and is categorically exempt under Article 19, Section 15332 A through E, Class 32, infill development projects pursuant to the CEQA guidelines because it's an infill lot. Sorry, went a little fast there. Staff's recommendation is to adopt Planning Commission Resolution number 2020-004, recommending that the City Council adopt an ordinance approving a development agreement by and between the City of Riverbank and Canna Mart, LLC, a California limited liability corporation doing business as Canna Mart, and adopt Planning Commission Resolution number 2020-005, approving a conditional use permit for Canna Mart. The applicant and city staff is available for any questions or comments. Staff did receive a public comment from Ms. Evelyn Halbert this afternoon.
And that was also, that was emailed to you guys too.
Exactly. City Attorney, did you want me to read that for the record or?
I haven't seen it. Gabriel, this is
Okay,
Commissioner
okay.
Dept, so
Okay, no problem. I'll read it for the record. Just give me a moment, please, real quick, sir. Okay. Number one, this proposed project is very close to the 30-plus acre proposed Arise industrial cannabis project at the old cannery site. Flavors is west of this project, and Riverbank Cannabis is just 2 blocks east of the cannery project site. This puts too many cannabis businesses in one area, mostly in downtown. Number two, this proposed project appears to be next door to a transitional health and behavior home. Number three, the plan shows no setbacks between the proposed building and the property line. There are 15 parking spaces in front. Are these for the 14 employees and customers? Why are setbacks not required? Has the fire department approved this? Number four, the proposed development resolution states resolution number 99-39 requires a written application with specified data to be submitted to the city for consideration of any development agreement. This application is not part of the packet and is not available to the public. Was it made available to the commission? It should not. If not, shouldn't this data be provided to the commission for its consideration and to the public before a public hearing and vote is held on this project? I felt this project, another note, due to the shutdown of city offices because of the coronavirus, public documents are difficult to obtain. It is my understanding that a process to provide these documents is under review. There is no public viewing of documents such as in the files allowed. Also, due to no contact of picking up of paper copies or DVDs is not allowed. I understand the reasons for this, but not why documents like the application were not in the packet. I feel this project should not be approved without the documents being made available to the public. I would appreciate a response. Thank you, Miss Evelyn Halbert. Thank you.
Yeah, so, hello, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the Planning Commission. For those of you that haven't met me, Sean Scully, I don't typically, I always watch Planning Commission meetings, but I don't typically sit on them. But Sean is out this evening, so I asked to call in for this meeting. And I do want to address a couple of comments that Evelyn made in her public comment. One is that the reference to an application specifically is the paper form or electronic form that someone fills out and submits to the planning department. I think it's really important that you all understand, if you don't already, that we're talking about a document, literally your name, address, email, general information of contact, what you want to do. And it's the city of Riverbank, like most cities, we have a uniform application that you submit regardless of what you're applying for. So it doesn't really dive into the details of the project typically. Usually those are additive documents that get submitted and actually the reviewable ones. And so, at least everywhere I work, it's not common practice to submit to Planning Commission the actual, uniform application. Although, certainly Evelyn or anyone else can do it is more than welcome to. The second comment with regard to public comment is, public records request is that we have had to adjust how we do public records requests in the past, and we have some residents that would prefer to do in-person reviews, where essentially what we do is we have a staff person that's in the room and they go through the file, and if they'd like to be, they can request to do so. And obviously, the pandemic, we can't do this that way anymore. But we still have provided the opportunity for people to submit records requests via email. We always have, and we respond accordingly. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear for the commission because, although we have to do business a little different now, we still are doing things. If you submit a record, we're going to respond to it. It's just that simple. So just wanted everybody to know. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Chairperson Fenrick, this is Commissioner Diner. Can I ask a couple of questions?
Yeah, of course.
This is really directed towards staff, but this commission approved a cannabis retail facility at the corner of 3rd and Atchison Street a while ago. In the January 28th city council meeting, the council turned it down. And I did talk with staff one-on-one, and the point that they said the council made was the proposed facility would be in the downtown area. I checked the minutes of that meeting, and there were two concerns. One was the sustainability of a 3rd dispensary in Riverbank, and then also the fact that it was downtown. I am concerned that we're reinventing the wheel. This proposal was for a facility a mile to 2 miles, one at 3rd and Atchison. Those folks were denied their proposal, and I have a concern about approving this proposal that would be leapfrogging over the existing one at 3rd and Atchison. So that's my real concern, and if staff would like to address it, I'd like to hear it.
So, Gabriel, if you want to jump in, that's fine. Commissioner Dinan, fair points. I think that what we would generally recommend as staff is that, cannabis applications are very unusual in planning commission because in normal scenarios, the planning commission's responsibility is to review every single application on its merit, separate of any other. It is only in the permitting of cannabis that seems to be a little bit different. And I think that the concern that, first of all, you were absolutely correct. Those were the two comments that council made. I would also kind of point out for the rest of the commission that was a very close vote. It was a 3-2 vote. And the concern certainly had to do with whether or not there was a sustainable amount of business in Riverbank for more than 2 dispensaries. But at least my memory was the primary kind of concern was the proximity of the last project to another dispensary that was approved just downtown, in fact, just a block down from City Hall South. So I think it's absolutely worth discussion. I think the advice you would probably get from the city attorney would be that regardless of your or council's decisions on previous projects, the duty that the planning commission has this evening is to make sure that you are reviewing and considering this project only on its merits, not as it's connected to any other projects. And Carrie, if you want to jump in on that and correct me, please do.
You're correct. So there's nothing to add there other than you take each project as it's presented to you and the facts of that project.
Thank you for the reply.
I have a couple of other questions just to address Evelyn's letter that maybe staff can answer. I didn't see it in the staff report what the required setbacks are in this zone. And then as far as nearby sensitive receptors, I know the staff report talks about that, but maybe staff could kind of recap just to address Evelyn's letter.
So, Gabriel, I kind of think I can address the second question, maybe on the setbacks. That's probably more appropriate for you to answer. But in general, with regard to the care home that's next door, certainly that's a consideration for the commission to take into account as you would any, zonal issue. But from a legal perspective, as far as I'm aware, there's no prohibition of having a near one of these facilities. The two that were very clear in the law that we're extremely careful with anytime we get one of these are, again, the school facility. And I believe it was, Carrie, you're going to have to fact check me here, but I believe it's within 500 square feet, or excuse me, 500 feet of any facility, and the other is a child daycare facility. Those two, when Donna gets an application, or even a request to consider something, her first thing is to do is to look at the back of that area, not in a radius that's in that area. So it's an issue that I actually brought up in the first discussion we had with this firm. That listen, we have a care home literally right next door to this facility. It's very important to the council and community that nothing is done to exacerbate any issues that may happen. And they were and I think the applicants can speak to this, they were very understanding of that issue. They think that the added security brought to the area may actually improve the situation there. And, the other component to it, once I thought about it a little bit more, is, let's be real, it's a area that's essentially minimally developed for Patterson Road. If you look at the Patterson Road as it passes through town, almost all of that area, with a few exceptions, is a commercially developed area. So our experience with our other dispensaries from a crime perspective, and the chief and previous chiefs that invested in this, is that we've actually found that we've had a reduction in crime-related issues result of increased security presence and monitoring in those areas. So we were a little concerned about that in the beginning, but I thought that's where we. And Gabe, if you want to, Gabriel, if you want to address that setback issue, we try the best to do that.
So yes, the property is in the general commercial zone C2, and from whatever looking at the zoning standards, I believe it was 10 feet on each side, but also want to let the staff, the planning commission know that, again, this is just conceptual. The applicant just wanted to put something on paper. It's not something that we're not approving the building at this time. They just want to get kind of just the layout of how they kind of envisioned the building appearing, and then the floor plan, kind of the makeup and those kinds of things. But like I said, for sure, staff will look at the setbacks and make sure that they're in compliance with the zoning, with that site in that area.
Okay, thanks. And the planning commission will have the chance to review the site plan when it comes back.
Exactly.
Okay. Do any other commissioners have questions for staff? All right. I do have one more question about the DA, maybe about the public benefit. How does a regular business compare as maybe what they might generate with just sales tax compared to the cannabis DAs? Like, is there a general comparison just to give us an idea of what these businesses are bringing in compared to other businesses?
Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to unmute myself. So yes, that's a good question, and it's an interesting answer, I think. So the easy answer is that there really is no comparison. In general, let's assume that you pay 7.25 sales tax. The city receives, in general, about 1%. So, you know, depending on the scale of your business, for example, if you're Home Depot or Target, those are large numbers. But what I can share with you is that, let's take flavors, for example. If their development agreement says that they pay the city 5% of gross, you can imagine that depending on the volume of their business, that the difference is, well, let me back up. First of all, we're talking about a product that is not, it would be similar to alcohol in terms of price per unit, right? So I think that it's fair for me to say that the cities, for those of you that were on the commission when Flavors was approved, the city has been able to fund one and in short order 2 police positions, a camera system that the license plate reader system that is all throughout town, a part-time code enforcement position, and that is, and even with all of those expenditures, there's still a substantial fund balance in that account, which will be allocated by the state. So it's a big part of being able to bring some sort of additive benefit to the city of Riverbank. And I think the interesting part is Riverbank is one of the few cities, you know, in the valley that does not have some type of add-on sales tax or special tax measure. And so in a way, this has provided some relief to the general fund that has to pick up all of those costs. So what I guess, to answer your question directly, Chairperson, in general, our cannabis businesses pay probably on average more than a normal retail business. Much more.
Okay, thanks. All right. Any other questions from
Madam Chairperson, this is Commissioner Dinan again. I have a question for the city attorney to kind of expand on her answer as to the purpose of the planning commission and what we should use to either vote yes or no on a particular project like this. Are you saying that if we feel that the city council was right saying that the sustainability of a third retail facility is not there, that we should not use that in our decisions?
If your assessment is that a third retail business is not sustainable, and that is your reason for this, feel free. If you're relying solely on the city council's decision, that's a completely separate decision that they made, separate and apart from your judgment as a planning commissioner.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions from the commissioners? Okay, do we have a recommendation of approval of resolution number 2020-004 to recommend approval of the development agreement to the city council by roll call vote?
If I can interrupt, I apologize. It's a public hearing, and I'm not sure how we're handling that. Did we officially open it and close it?
Oh, okay, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing.
Public. Looks like there's a hand raised.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Rod Olson. I'm the applicant's consultant on this project and other projects. And Chair and Commissioners, it's a pleasure to be with you this evening. As a former Riverbank resident, I know how much time and effort the staff has put in the past, and the commissioners and their thoroughness on these issues. I remember when Flavors was going through, and there was long meetings that you guys went through. So anyway, just know that your work is appreciated. I wanted to draw attention. I'm very pleased that the city attorney stressed that the application is what we're looking at this evening. And, I wanted to kind of highlight the applicants because it's really a success story, an American success story, a Stanislaus County success story. Raj and Bobby Ball have been in the retail business in Stanislaus County over 20 plus years. They've developed a business methodology which attracts business to their doors. They've done this in all their establishments. And last year, they successfully obtained a cannabis retail license from the state and the city of Modesto. They've been in operation for a year at a facility on Yosemite Road called Doctor's Choice. This is not something that they're just doing on a whim. Retail businesses is something that it's a family business for them. This is not some corporate entity from outside the area. They live and work here, and their state license, just for the record, they were the first license to be issued by the state of California to a license holder that did not have a provisional license. So that's pretty big. And for them to jump the provisional license holders, they had to have their ducks in a row. And that's the kind of people that Raj and Bobby are. They want thoroughness. But more than anything they want is they want to be a member of the community. In your packet there, you will see a letter from the city of Modesto, specifically from the Assistant Chief of Police, Brandon Gillespie, who has become friends with Raj and Bobby. The city of Modesto can't offer a reference, but for the city assistant chief of the police department to issue a letter coming as close as he could to offering a referral or a reference is pretty high marks. They've had no incidents in the past year at their facility on Yosemite. And as you know, Yosemite is not the most quiet street in all of Modesto. There's a lot of challenges on that. And there's challenges on Patterson, specifically down there at the corner. And that group home, I think the city manager said it right. You'll be putting 24/7 security on the premises that will be monitoring that area, which will allow for, I believe, your law enforcement personnel to focus on other areas. Because if something does open up to happen there, the response time will be a lot sooner and quicker because there is security on site. The applicant is willing to work with the city on everything. The site plan, setback requirements that were put forward were kind of like a placeholder. We're willing to work and do what it is the city would like. Now, I understand there's complaints. Can 3 businesses operate in the city of Riverbank? At some point, the free market will decide that. Now, you should know that currently, if you know where Doctor's Choice is on Yosemite Boulevard, right across the street from Shabaka Olive Oil, they have 450 to 500 customers come in monthly that reside in the city of Riverbank and Oakdale. So the 2 businesses in the city of Riverbank are not capturing all the cannabis business. People are going elsewhere to get it. At some point, you have to ask, if people are leaving the city of Riverbank to go elsewhere to shop, to pay less for a high quality of customer service, maybe the business plan of the resident of the existing established businesses here maybe just isn't cutting it. Now look, Raj and Bobby Ball are fantastic. They'll work with the city. They'll become the community. They'll become part of the community. They will work with the community, and they're really looking forward to creating the partnership. And this is kind of what this whole process is all about. It's about weeding out and finding the right partners, finding people that the city of Riverbank can feel, put some faith and trust in, that these are going to be good people, that they're going to do things right. I've worked with a lot of cannabis license holders, and I can tell you, these people are, they're the top, they're the cream. The cream always rises to the top, and that's what these people do. They're fantastic. And I just hope that the advice from the city attorney, and that you'll weigh this based on the application. It was the city council turned the last one down on a 3-2 vote because of logistics. They said that the facility, the other building, the other operation was too close to the one operating downtown. This building is further away. It's in the middle. It's actually in a good location. It's in a location that actually is a vacant property that could use some refurbishment. And like I said, you'll have 24/7 security on the premises to help you with an existing problem. So anyway, we're here. The applicant is online as well. Rajwinder Ball is online. If you have any specific questions, we'll be happy to answer them. And so thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, does anyone else from the public wish to speak?
Chairperson, I think because we're doing this online,
Okay.
the easiest way would be to give 5 minutes, and I know we've kind of been a couple minutes in, but Janet, if you could read off your email and the phone number, if people wanted to either email us or call one in. Usually that's and it's a little awkward, but we kind of just have to sit and wait for a few minutes while hopefully some comments come in or not. Oh, yep, there it is. So it's if you're listening only, the email is jsmallen, JSMALLEN @riverbank.org, or you can call 209-863-7172 with your comments. And Chairperson, if you want to maybe give them since we've been in public comment for a few minutes now, maybe three more minutes, that'd probably be sufficient time.
Okay.
So Norma, who works in my office, let me know that YouTube is on about a 3-minute delay. So if we wanted to give it a couple more minutes, in the meantime, is there any other questions or concerns or just general thoughts about the project that anybody wanted to, we don't have to use this in silence if there's anything anyone wants to say, and now's appropriate time. Okay, so I think on my clock was at least 5 minutes. Janet, did you have any comments? Janet, I don't think we're getting your audio. Norma, are you able to call Janet and see if there's any?
Let me check. So far, we have no calls. Let me check. So far,
So I just checked in with Janet. She said she hasn't received anything.
Okay, Chairperson, you're free to move ahead.
Okay, with no other questions or comments received, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And then do we have a recommendation for approval of resolution number 2020-004 to recommend approval of the development agreement to the city council by roll call vote?
I'll make a motion to approve item 2020-004, the development agreement.
And I second.
I think we're still having audio issues with.
A moment, please. Let's see. Jen will be here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Their offices aren't that far apart, so.
Hi there. Sorry about that. Okay, so roll call. Chair Fenrich,
Yes.
Vice Chair Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Dynan,
No.
Commissioner Link,
Yes.
Commissioner Basso,
Yes.
and Commissioner Rubin, or alternate.
Yes.
Okay, so it passes 5-1. And now we need to move on to the resolution.
All right. So I'll read this. A recommendation for approval of resolution number 2020-005 to recommend approval of the conditional use permit.
All right. I will also make a motion then to approve item 2020-005, the conditional use permit for Canna Mart.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I'm sorry, who was that? Who seconded that?
Commissioner Basso.
Okay. Okay. Chair Fenwich,
Yes.
Vice Chair Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Dynan,
No.
Commissioner Link,
Yes.
Commissioner Basso,
Yes.
and Commissioner Rubin, our alternate.
Yes.
Okay, that's also approved 5-0 or 5-1.
All right. I'm just looking for words to
Yes.
say.
So item 4.1, it might have got cut off, but it's usually any.
Oh, I didn't even see it there. Let's see. I don't see anything.
Yeah. So if you guys had any comments, the commissioners.
No, I don't.
And then it was just on the county, if we've had any county referrals, which we've had none. And then typically Donna would give an update to city council on the city council meetings, but I don't know if Sean would like to give an update of the last city council meeting.
Sure, I'm happy to.
Okay.
So, just to give you kind of a rare opportunity, if you'd like to ask questions in this sort of very strange time of what the city and city council have been doing amidst the COVID-19 emergency, I can share with you that essentially over the last really 2.5 months, it has pretty much taken over most of what we do. Initially, from about mid-March through essentially the end of April, our job was essentially to try to make sure that we were making necessary adjustments to staffing, and we've probably have heard of changed some working schedules within City Hall offices. trying to do what we can to keep our folks as safe as possible. Interestingly, towards the end of April and now into May, pivoted to spend quite a bit more time on managing a very complicated and difficult reopening process with regard to the state and with regard to whether or not the county qualifies for various reopenings. So I would say in general, for the first month to month and a half, we've had excellent compliance from our businesses that were non-essential. More recently, as we've gotten into May, that we've received a number of questions from businesses about, well, when are we going to be able to reopen? And you probably read that Stanislaus County has recently voted to fall back to the state order, essentially. And so just this afternoon, in fact, concurrently with this meeting, the Board of Supervisors was hearing an update on a new, they call it an attestation, that the county is filing with the state to move us further into phase 2, which would allow for more businesses to open, like restaurants, in a modified manner, a lot of other retail. So we've kind of just been keeping an eye on that and trying our best to be supportive of the local effort to try to keep our residents protected. And it's been very complicated and tough. We've also, the city council on Tuesday night last week authorized reopening of a number of park amenities and facilities. Generally, their opinion was that they felt it was important to give the public the opportunity to have somewhere to go aside from their home. And then in some instances, we've kept certain things closed because the state has said, like, for example, with aquatics programs or playgrounds is another example, that those do not fall under their phase 2 reopening, and so will remain closed until we're given authorization to move forward. So, and obviously you're aware now that we've moved to a Zoom meeting setup. I think that the chairperson and commissioners did a really good job. I don't know if this is your first or second, but it's a little awkward and it's difficult because people talk over one another. But in general, we've found that the meetings have gone pretty well and you're able to get routine business done. So appreciate you all very, very much for taking the time to learn the new setup and log in. And if you have any questions for me about what's going on or what's happening, I'd be happy to answer any.
All right, thank you, Sean. I don't have any more script. I'm sorry. Janet, can you help me out and how I'm supposed to close up the meeting?
Sure.
Madam Chair, at this
It's just adjourn, Chairperson Fenrick.
Okay, so this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.